Hi everyone, this is me, Morgan Birch, reporting for Kids First, age 11 and a half, and today we are here at the movie theater going to see The Littlest Prince. We're going to have such a great time, it's going to be a fantastic, and we're going to watch a stupendous movie. And we're also going to be talking to the director and executive producer, Mark Osborne. So come on, let's go!
Right now, I promise we will get to it. But I want to go back first of all, because I think certainly for the grown-ups in the crowd, so many of us have such a visceral, intimate, personal relationship with this story, The Little Prince. And you do too. What's your Little Prince story before you thought about coming on to this movie?
Yeah, the book has actually been in my life since I was about 20. And I was in college at art school, Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, and the love of my life gave me her copy of the book at a time when I was going to be potentially moving out to California to study animation and to focus on animation. And she actually gave me her copy of the book and said, "We'll always be together even if we're apart." And yeah, would quote from the book and kind of wrote me these incredible letters that I found recently that I had forgotten all about, that are exactly about that very pivotal time. But the book did kind of keep us connected, and we're now married with 2 children, and one of which is our daughter, who Maddie, who inspired the character of the little girl, and our son, Riley, who actually provided the voice for the Little Prince. So it's a I was very connected to the book back when I was first asked if I wanted to think about making it into movies, and I said no. I said, you can't do this. But it was that connection to the book, I think, that made me start to try to find a solution so that I could both adapt the book but also pay tribute to the power of the book at the same time. And that was kind of the thing that made me feel like we could go down this road to protect the book as opposed to let the movie come, in a way, kind of hurt the book.
I was not alive when the book first came out, neither were you, but I was alive when the original film came out with Bob Fosse back in the 70s, and I remember for me that image of the elephant inside the snake, like that's just one of those images that stays with you the rest of your life. Was there an image or a line from this book that has really been the one that stays with you after all these years?
Yeah, it's the line that really woke me up. You know, the day that I said no to the project when I was first asked, is the line that was in my head when I woke up the next morning, and that was, "It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye." That was the powerful idea that stayed with me, and you know, over the 20 years that the book was in my life, now more than 25 years, and that was the line that Kim used to end the letter that she was giving me to push me to follow my dreams and to pursue becoming an animation filmmaker way back when. So that line is incredibly significant. Yeah.
So
my daughter was really inspiring me to create a character in her image, to let her be the one that we would sort of protect the book by putting it in her imagination. So yeah, it was kind of and I should say that I participated in the study there was a study that was being done by the Gina Davis Institute about animation, and it's crazy to me at this point. I'm so happy to finally be here showing the film and with you all, because when I was trying to think about adapting this book and I couldn't quite figure out how to do it, one of the things that I was really focused on was the fact that there was only one female character in the book, and they're all male characters. The one female character was the Rose, and that was like a huge, that's a big problem. And I was made aware of that, how big that problem was, by participating in the study. And the study really gave me the understanding, the objectivity to know that I was working pretty hard and trying to create strong female characters for my daughter. When I made Kung Fu Panda, I thought I was part of the solution, and I discovered just how much I wasn't. So that really drove me to create the little girl character and to create the mom, and to really let there be some balance in the larger story, so that the larger story and the book would be all balanced in the end. So that was an instrumental kind of part of that sort of development process that I kind of needed that nudge, and I'm so grateful. Yeah.
And can you I want to get back to The Little Prince very shortly,
Sure.
But I think of Kung Fu Panda, you've got Tigress and Viper, there's plenty of female roles in there, but talk a little bit more about that moment of, wait a minute, I thought I was on track here and I wasn't. What did you realize?
Well, there are a lot of female roles. There's only two, and that was the thing. I was like, okay, we made these strong female characters, and that was the thing. It's like, well, it's two out of, however many male characters, and like, it wasn't just, part of the challenge is sort of creating, strong, good sort of, female characters that kids can look up to, both boys and girls can aspire to. But to have it be more balanced across the board, that was the thing that I was sort of shocked about. Just that, oh right, of course, and the attempt to try to balance it out, I think it's like definitely trying to push it in the right direction. And since then, yeah, we lived in LA. We were raising.
Well, let's talk about the suitcase now, because it was one thing to get you on board to this film, but then there was the notion of getting everyone else on board, the voice talent, the animators, and everybody else. And to do that, you had this pitch and this suitcase. Can you explain?
Sure. And actually, even the financiers, because in the very early stages, we created this as a way to get people to understand that we were doing something very special, very true to the book. And so I would actually, this case has been all over the world. And it is affectionately called the Magic Suitcase. It used to be called the Joe Schmidt case because a model maker named Joe Schmidt, who worked on Coraline and a lot of things, ended up making this case. But this was a way for me to bring the story into, instead of just bringing in a book, I brought in this. And I'll give you just a taste of it, and then at the end you guys can kind of see it up close. But so I would carry this into the room, and everybody's sort of like, what? And most of the time people are kind of, they're like this. And Hans Zimmer said it perfectly when I approached him. He said, "What are you doing to my book?" And I was like, "Of course, it's your book. It's my book. It's so many people's book." And I would show this. So. I hope this works. Actually, can we dim the lights a little bit? I don't know if anyone's on the lights. I hope this works.
Oh, wow.
So that's exactly the sound we wanted. And we wanted that to sort of stop everything that was happening in the room. And really it was designed to make people put down their phones and go, oh, what is this? And then I would pull out this, which is the art book. And this actually, you won't see this, but this little light lights up too. And I would actually use this as a way to pitch the whole story, and I would tell everybody, and it would take about an hour. But what this included was a lot of very early development art, including just enough artwork to try to communicate the emotion and the tone. And so it's very early work.
Well, what I really like about it is it feels like what you landed on eventually is different. It's not a carbon copy from the original Little Prince, and yet it's not too divergent. Harry Osborne does share the same last name as Mark Osborne.
Nobody really notices, which is kind of funny. And what I will say is, and I should point out before getting into this story, Mackenzie Foy, who plays the little girl and carries the whole movie, like she's a tremendously talented actress, and it's incredible how much work she did from the ages of 12 to 15 of developing that enormous role for the film of the little girl. But we got incredibly lucky with The Little Prince because, in the early days of making an animated movie, you don't have your big movie stars yet, and everybody who is around does a voice. So I was the aviator, my wife was the mom, my daughter was the little girl, and our son Riley was Little Prince. And I made sure we had a good microphone just in case. He was 11 years old. He actually, in Kung Fu Panda, he was the voice of Tai Lung as a baby. And he didn't have any lines, but he made up a lot of sounds. So I think somewhere in his 11-year-old brain, he's like, yeah, I'm an actor. I can do this. And he kind of did it with this weird, didn't care, but was weirdly confident. And he was just adorable about it, and it was music to my ears, but it wasn't until everybody else on the crew was like, the producers especially were like, we shouldn't change that. And as we added Mackenzie and Jeff and all these amazing other actors, it was incredible to have Riley still working in the cut, like against Ricky Gervais, and it was unbelievable. So yeah, he he just kind of accidentally got the job.
Did you have to give him any direction?
Yeah, we worked a lot, and that was the thing. It was really fun. We were doing it as a family, and we were just all around the mic, and we were, it was another part of why this is like such a family project for me. This recording session was like really great, and by the end of it, my wife was in tears. Like it was fun but emotional, and to him, it was just, he was just helping his dad, and it was just bizarre when I look back at it. Yeah.
Well, of course, it's easy to see where everyone in your family would have such a deep emotional connection. You all spent many, many years working on this. I think it's safe to say audiences are as well, right? As the credits started to roll, one woman bolted out of the theater just weeping, saying, I just go and collect myself for a moment. Now that the film is starting to come out and people are seeing it, what sort of response are you getting? And is it what you were hoping for, looking for?
Actually, yeah. Oddly, it's kind of terrifying every time we've premiered. I've been to 12 different premieres in 12 different countries. It's actually been released in 50 different territories all over the world in dozens of different languages. Every time I went to a premiere, I was terrified because the book means, different things in different cultures, but there are enough things that connect all these cultures that the book is tapping into that it's been incredible time after time to see the emotional reaction. And that, I think, is really the satisfying thing. I wanted the movie to work for people whether they knew the book or not. I wanted it to introduce people who maybe don't know the book, that would be an introduction. But I really wanted to pay tribute to that emotional experience that can happen when you read the book, or when someone shares the book with you, or when you share it with someone else. And that was something I wanted to capture. I wanted to come up with a cinematic equivalent of those same emotional experiences that are happening, so that the movie ends up being a dialogue, just like I think reading the book becomes a dialogue with whoever you're sharing it with. So that, I never realized how much I like making people cry, but that was definitely a goal, and so it's always nice to do that.
Deeply rewarding. In spirit of keeping this a dialogue, I want to open it up if there's questions here from the audience for Mark about the making of the film. I see a tentative hand right there, yes.
I was just...
So Mackenzie's voice stayed young, and my daughter's voice started to sound older. And we had to change the pitch of her voice. So it was great for temporary, and she worked so hard. I don't know if you noticed, but she got a credit as the little muse. Because she was the hardest working person on this movie. Every day I would come home with new lines of dialogue that I needed to test out. And we would go and we put blankets in the closet, and I would record her. She's like, ah. I had to start giving her 20s every time we did it. But she was incredibly passionate about helping.
One last question.
Yeah, and that's great that you actually wanted to make girl power in this film. And what really inspired that?
My daughter, just absolutely my daughter, and that was, I think, the major factor, and also the study that I participated in with the Gina Davis Institute. I'm not just saying this because you guys are all here and this is like a special treat. This is in fact, I emailed them back and I was like, you guys, I've done it. I was like, you helped me creatively get over this block. But it was, those are the big factors.
Go.
That was so much fun. We had a great time watching this fantastic movie, and we also got to talk to Mark Osborne, and he was simply amazing and fantastic. He had a lot to say, and I really enjoyed questioning him and getting some answers, and he was just great to talk to. I want to say thank you so much, and see you next time on Kids First. Bye!